very kind introduction. I'm sure Darpan had many things to do with that. Firstly, Darpan, I want to thank you for putting me on the spot and have me moderate this session. I haven't done something like moderating a session in over 20 years, so this should be fun. Okay, so the other panelists are on. Good to see you guys. Hi.
Hi, Rahul.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi. Could you?
Kainaz.
Hi,
Hi.
hi.
So everybody can see
And
and hear everything currently?
yes, can't see Aditya, but
Yeah, I think Aditya is going to be on shortly. But till then, I'll just get on to introducing the panelists that we have already. Starting ladies first. Kainaz. Hi.
Hi.
Kainaz is the Chief Creative Officer of Ogilvy India. She's done multiple campaigns, hundreds, thousands of them. HUL, Titan, Savlon, Cadbury's, Red Label. Under her leadership, Ogilvy has won numerous awards. And of course, on a personal note, she's fond of the spa life and she loves coffee and cookies. And dare you steal her cookies? Am I right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Hi, Rajesh. Nice to meet you. Rajesh is the
hey, Rahul.
founder and director of Kerosene Films. Great filmmaker. Has done numerous award-winning campaigns for Bajaj, for Kotak Bank, for Ambuja Cement, JSW Paints, the Udan app, the Kawali film, if you remember that one, and of course the IPL Jumpak, making Farah Khan dance for a change. And he's worked with MS Dhoni, numerous film stars, SRK, Ranveer, just to name a few. Award winning. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
And we have Aditya S. Chopra, who's finally made it. How are you doing, buddy?
Hi.
I,
All
I
good.
believe you
You,
were rushing to make it in time.
yeah. No, you
Okay, great.
kept me with such big people. I don't know what to say. Please don't introduce. I don't have any.
Actually, we have Darpan to blame for all of that. He's put me on the spot as well. So, anyways, so Aditya S. Chopra, my friend, director, creative partner at Open Mind Media Production. He's the master of television and film promotions. His work portfolio includes, starting out with Zoom at the Times Television Network, the Z Group, Star India, Disney, Discovery, Viacom, and a whole lot more. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Now that we know each other, I'm just going to jump straight into it because we have just 1 hour to discuss all of this. Plus, there's going to be a Q&A as well. So, I want to get started. This is the mad ad world or the ad mad world. Firstly, I'd like to know if you do think that it is a mad world. Kainas.
You ask, is it a mad world?
Yes. The title as for India Voice Fest is the ad mad world of voices. So I want to ask you whether the ad world is mad.
It is completely mad, starting with the hours.
True. I would agree on that. There seem to be no hours.
Yeah, it's mad and it's fun. It can be crazy. You can go cuckoo sometimes, but it's quite mad.
But well worth it in the end.
Absolutely.
On some days.
On some days. Okay. When I'm just for clarity, I'm not going to say for a voice artist, I'm not going to say he or she. I'm just going to say they, them, people, that kind of thing. So it just covers both genres, so nobody feels bad. Kisi bhi bura na lage. Because we have female voices, we have male voices. So let's just keep it neutral. Tell me, why do you think advertising is such a hallowed, aspirational, and at the same time, it can be a ruthless place for voice artists? Rajesh?
I think aspirational because I guess there is decent money to be made. I think it pays well. You could be the voice of like you're the voice of Saif, and so many people. You can be the voice of a star. You could be Dhoni's voice, or you could be Sachin Tendulkar's voice. It's fun in that sense, because it's aspirational.
Yeah.
And ruthless, I guess, because there's very little turnaround time. You have these wonderful artists that we have that you usually just go and call. So it is difficult to break in, but definitely I think there's always a lookout for new talent, and It's not that ruthless. I don't think it's so ruthless. I think it is fun. There is a lot of scope, and one can make a great career out of it. So
Do you think it's ruthless from the point, from the fact that uh, if you are in the studio and are not able to follow what the director wants or to deliver what the director wants or the creative director wants, then it could be ruthless for you?
well, mostly the people who are there in the studio and are doing well in the voice industry in advertising really know how to nail what the director wants, and you get even, I think, even give more than what the director wants sometimes.
True.
You have such
We'll
amazing talent.
yes,
Uh,
we'll come to that. अगर कोई नया बंदा हो जो अभी अभी एंट्री कर रहा हो इंडस्ट्री में, तो it can be quite intimidating to meet a director like you in the studio and say कि भाई ऐसे करके दिखाओ, and if they're not able to do it, how would you handle such a situation?
नहीं, मुझे लगता है कि काफी चांस देते हैं हम करने के लिए। अब तक तो ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि नहीं कर पाया कोई। हाँ, किसी वजह से अगर कभी वॉइस बाउंस हो जाती है, कभी क्लाइंट को नहीं पसंद आती है, कभी आप उस वजह से चेंज कर देते हो, तो इट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग। बट आई थिंक generally we do give them time. I don't think anybody is so harsh to say आपको नहीं आता आप निकल जाइए स्टूडियो से। I think we give them time. I think it's, if they're well directed, I'm sure, if they're there in the studio, then they have gone through a process and they already have the potential, and I think that's
Right.
what happens before they do that.
Kainaz, would you agree with that? Kainaz she needs coffee. Aditya, do you agree?
Yeah, he's absolutely right. I just had some humor. But talkback on नहीं होना चाहिए, people commenting on the voice. That is one tool जो कभी दब गया तो, oh no, he's not working out,
आप
And
explain भी कर दो कि talkback का मतलब क्या होता है, क्योंकि
talkback
we
in
have
सब
quite a
कुछ.
few people who want to join the industry who are also logged in and watching, तो उन्हें
Lovely.
शायद पता नहीं कि talkback क्या होता है.
Talkback is when the person is in the dubbing studio and you're sitting outside with the engineer. If you have to brief talk to the person inside, you press a button called talkback on the Pro Tools, on the Nuendo, on the software, and you talk to that person. Sometimes the engineer presses it and you're saying something which the person should not hear. That's what I was trying to say. It's like whispers get out. But आजकल एक और आजकल एक नया नया चैलेंज और आ गया राहुल, क्लाइंट का जो ये प्रेशर होता है, नो सेंड मी द MP3, इफ यू कांट डू अ वॉइस वीडियो कॉल, यहाँ तो एक वीडियो अटैच हो जाता है वेयर द क्लाइंट इज लिसनिंग टू द रिकॉर्डिंग, एंड उनको पता नहीं क्या समझ आ रहा है म्यूजिक के साथ, म्यूजिक के बिना, बट कमेंट जरूर करते हैं, और यू जस्ट सेंड मी द MP3, आई विल टेल यू इफ द टेक इज नॉट राइट और नो. सो वीडियो आर्टिस्ट के लिए टफ है लाइफ, बट सबके लिए है. Okay.
But when you say that the client would like to hear an MP3 or see an MPEG, I used to think that it was only to do with the voice world where they'd want to hear the takes. But when I spoke to a director friend of mine, he said, "Boss, it's not only you. They would even like to see my shots. And from the set, there is somebody who's WhatsApping the same
Absolutely.
shot, recording it on their mobile phone and then sending it across on WhatsApp." And I was completely shocked. I was like, that's a new level. ऐसा भी होता है?
Absolutely. एडवर्टाइजिंग में रिमोट डायरेक्शन, कोविड के टाइम में तो बहुत ये हुआ है, people
COVID,
have just
I mean,
been
yeah, the first 6 months of lockdown were a completely different scenario, तो उसे नहीं गिनते. लेकिन let's talk about pre-2020 and now in 21. 2020 shouldn't be counted actually in anybody's life. If you turned a year older, you're not actually.
पहले तो सेट पे आना अच्छा लगता था सबको ना, गुड फूड, गुड क्राउड, गुड पीपल, सेट पे आते थे लोग.
Yeah. Rajesh, what is your opinion on that?
हाँ, कुछ हद तक कभी कभी होता है डेफिनेटली, बट इतना आजकल तो मतलब लाइक ड्यूरिंग दिस, if you speak about the time when the COVID was on, or even when clients were sitting on Zoom, agencies were doing multiple jobs, and I think they were doing 2 to 3 films at the same time. मेरे को लगता नहीं होते भी थे या चले जाते थे कहीं, मुझे पता नहीं, बट आई थिंक डिपेंड करता है क्या रिलेशनशिप है आपका एजेंसी के साथ, क्या रिलेशनशिप है आपका क्लाइंट के साथ, तो कितना कॉन्फिडेंस है उनको आपके ऊपर. आई डोंट, जरूरी नहीं है कि हमेशा रहें, बट डेफिनेटली जूम के चक्कर में चलते कुछ इंटरफेरेंस तो बढ़ ही गया. It's a
Correct.
definite.
So, like I said, 2020 is not to be counted in life actually. So,
Absolutely.
do you also think that ये इतना aspirational इसीलिए होता है क्योंकि लोगों को अपनी आवाज टेलीविजन पर या किसी मीडियम पर सुनाई देने से बहुत अच्छा लगता है, या they get a kick out of it? Do you think that's part of the aspirational value?
या बिल्कुल कुछ हद तक ये भी है, मगर वो तो फिर बहुत सारी इंडस्ट्रीज हैं, सिर्फ एडवर्टाइजिंग नहीं है. देयर इज आल्सो टुडे यू कुड डू ओटीटी, यू कुड बी डबिंग फॉर मूवीज, यू कुड बी डबिंग फॉर एनिमेशन
True.
सीरीज. आई मीन तो हर जगह पे ही है. ऑब्वियसली जिस तरह से लोगों को, एक्टर्स को अपने आप को स्क्रीन पे देखना अच्छा लगता है, उसी तरह से कुछ लोगों को अपनी आवाज सुननी अच्छी लगती है. तो
Right.
But I
वो
feel
तो
one
आपस.
thing.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
sorry.
No, please go ahead.
No, I
Please
just
go
feel
ahead.
one thing, not in terms of unfairness, but I feel that they do get the raw end of the deal, because I feel that everyone else is visible, but the voice artist is not visible, or not as glamorized, or not as awarded as they should be. Like, why doesn't advertising awards have a category for voice artists? I think that that sort of thing is still, that sort of recognition is missing, and that's why I don't think Ruthless, but I feel that I don't think they get as much credit as they deserve. They can be celebrated more, because voice is a big part of communication. The right voice really makes a difference. Sometimes you may not realize why you like an ad so much, but it could just be the way in which it is narrated. Like Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai, the narration just lures you in. So, I mean, more can definitely be done in terms of recognizing them.
Yes, and thus
Wow.
I think India Voice Fest is a great thing.
Absolutely.
This
I
platform.
was just going to say
No,
that.
I
I
mean,
said
not
that's
in a
where.
voice forum, but in a general advertising forum, not just in a
True.
voice forum.
I would
True.
agree with you on that. I would
That's a
agree with
good,
you
that
on
would be
that.
a great thing.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that's a very
Great
great
point.
point.
Yeah.
But
Um, yes,
Rahul,
please.
I just, but
Yeah.
at least what she's talking about is recognition. But the very fact to explain it to a layman what voiceovers are, my wife does voiceovers, so to explain back home, it was a task first. अब इतना मुश्किल नहीं होता because people have mics, people are doing podcasts and video recordings, kids are doing it, technology अब सबको समझ आने लग गया. The other day I was watching a Kapil Sharma show, so Ninad was a part of it. There was some, I think, movie का promotion obviously. So when they talk about voiceovers वगैरह, अब लोगों को पता चल रहा है what voice
Right.
feature, it means a lot.
Exactly.
Things have
That's so
changed.
true. When I started out, people had no idea. I mean, they was like, "What are you doing? Like, what is this?" So the only name that they knew was Pratap Sharma. I was like, "Pratap Sharma? हाँ, वैसे कुछ कर रहा हूँ मैं." Amin Sayani. So then they say, "हाँ, okay. Radio." I was like, "Yeah, radio."
जब रेडियो टीवी बन गया तो
That's
उसमें उतना ज्यादा हो गया.
sorry. Could you say that again?
I said
Radio.
when radio became television, that's when it became the voices
Yes.
that you heard on radio, because they would take their own names also so many times. So
True.
as tarah se.
Yeah.
But now I think with Netflix, now with all these other platforms, they are giving credit to the voices. There's written credit to the voices, which is really
Yes.
good to see.
Yes. If it's been dubbed into a different language, then they do have credits for the different
Yes.
languages, which is pretty good.
Yes.
Okay. All of you all have worked with voice artists in person. Let's not talk about 2020 when we had to work through Zoom and Google Meet, etc. But personally, working with voice artists in studios, what have been your personal experiences working with voice artists? Let's start with the good, and then we'll move on to the not so good.
No, so I'll just talk about me. I don't get to work with them so much now, because I don't go so much to recording studios anymore. But when I was junior, I have spent so many days and nights in recording studio, and that's how Rahul is a friend of mine, and Ninad's a friend of mine, Chetan is a friend, Sunil Grover, all these people, Sonia. I know them so well, because even if I bump into them now, there's a certain friendship, because they were all, okay, sorry for saying this, but they were all young when I was young. So
We're still young, Kainaz. We're still young.
yes.
Don't worry. We're still young.
So
You
I
guys
would
are it.
I would love it because these are such lovely. At least the people that I worked with, they were not just great voice artists, but they were great human beings. And I think Rajesh, you said it that kabhi kabhi मांगने से ज़्यादा दे देते थे. So if I was a kid and
बिल्कुल.
supervising something, and if somebody was recording it, and I was confused, and they will say, अच्छा ऐसा भी कर लेते हैं. ये टाइप में भी
True.
ले लेते हैं, so that you can go back and you can decide which is good, because you may not always know it right then when you paste it on a film or when you sleep over it. So they would give a little
Yes.
more variation, so I really felt and also compared to directors and all, when you're junior, they nobody asks for your opinion, but if you're the only person in the studio, the voice artist asks for your opinion. So I love that. When I was junior,
Yeah.
I had very nice time working with them. And I think the only thing I would say is not nice for both the voice artists as well as you, when there is no clarity. So sometimes if there is no clarity in terms of what brief you want to give, then that guy will get confused. And sometimes
True.
if it's a very 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 super senior person, but let's say that what happens is that they refuse to listen to you in terms of direction, or they say that
Yeah.
this is it, take it or leave it, then it becomes very, it becomes really odd, because you're there only for those 2 3 hours. And if what you have in your mind you can't convey it, then that's a problem. But if that person is like, you know reached maybe a celebrity status, and then says that, we this is it, either you take it or you leave it, and I know this is best, then that sort of becomes like a, how do you move ahead from there.
True. It's a roadblock.
Right. So, I
Uh,
mean, these names that Kenaz has taken are so fantastic. I mean, all these guys, uh, they're stars. These guys, and they can really add so much to something. They can really, improvise. They can do such amazing things. Ninad, Chetan, Sonia. I mean, it's phenomenal. We've had such great experiences with them. I one incident I remember. I was there was a commercial we were doing for Kotak, with Ranveer Singh, and it was a single shot commercial. It starts from down and he goes up and then it comes down and finishes it. And being an ad, you have to finish it in 60 seconds. I mean, you can't
yes.
make it 61. It cannot be 59. It has to be precise. It's a single shot and it's high energy. He goes up and down and comes down,
Yeah.
and at the end of it, there is PT Usha standing there. So when he comes down, she gives him a line and it ends. It's a Kotak ka film.
Yes.
And PT is she's so wonderful, she's so cute and all, but she's not an actor. So I was concerned that Ranveer इतना मेहनत करके जाएगा, ऊपर से नीचे आएगा, थक जाएगा, और वहां पर she has to give that line perfectly. So I remember this, that when he did that whole thing, the best take that he gave, when he came down, there was a fumble and mumble and all that. So, we had another take, but this was my favorite, and I wanted to keep it, and I didn't know what to do with it. Her line was little messed up, but he was just fantastic. The timing was right and everything. And then, I didn't know what to do, so I showed it to Sonia, and I said, Sonia, ये क्या करें? ये भी है और ये भी है, लेकिन इसका मैं क्या करूं? इसको ठीक करना है. And the Mallu in her came forward, and she just, I don't know what she did.
She
It
nailed
was
it.
so amazing how she nailed the voice, how she used the lip to communicate what was needed. I mean, Sonia agar yahan dekh rahi hai, to she'll remember this. I mean, these kind of incidents, they happen, and it's great fun. I mean, it's
That was fantastic.
challenging.
When I
And
saw that and I got to know that it was Sonia, I was blown away. It was too good. Too good.
oh, she's and all these guys, all the names that Kenaz take, I won't repeat them.
Yeah. So
They are
on
there
just
because they're
just a little going off on that point, do you feel it's when you direct a voice artist, do you prefer if the artist brings something to the table after you've briefed them, or would you just prefer that they stick to your brief?
No, I would personally prefer if we have a discussion beforehand. Of course, there is a brief to follow, but I would love it if they have a discussion with me and say, "Can we try this, or this might actually work
Yes,
better." The same thing that we do with directors and everyone. I mean, co-creation is actually our
is the
game.
key.
Nobody
Right.
creates an
Right.
ad. It's not like I go into a room, I create an ad, and I come out. I go into a room, I think of a script, somebody else directs it, somebody lends the music, somebody lends the voice. So in co-creation, I think dialogue is critical. So we
True.
must, we must converse and we must come. So I love it when they come with their own interpretations, as long as it is something that we both want to try together.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay.
Absolutely.
Uh, so we spoke about the good experiences. Have you had any experiences that were not so good? कुछ अच्छे भी नहीं रहे होंगे.
But
बुरे तो
not
नहीं
from
लेकिन.
an artist. I had an experience from a celebrity. Where,
Okay.
so what happened is
Only
that
one, Kainaz. Only one.
Say it.
one
I'm
recording
laughing for.
experience. So what happened was, this celebrity, she's pretty big. She comes to, and she was throwing a lot of tantrums at the shoot also. So I won't mention the name of the director, but the director told me he's coming to the recording and he never came. So I was quite junior and I was sitting there, and this lady comes and I'm sitting with this voice sheet and everything, and she says, "Okay, let's start." And she gives the tape, and I don't know what, she's just woken up from her sleep or something. It was sounding terrible. So I said that, "Ma'am, I think we need to try something else." And then she says, "Okay," and then she tries something else, and that was also not working. And then I tell her one more, and she loses her shit. And she doesn't scream at me. She wants to scream at me, but she's screaming at her secretary who's standing there. So she's turned around and she's shouting at this other lady who's a secretary, and she's saying, "What is this? Why are we doing this? I'm going to give one more take and no more." So she wants to scream at me, but she's screaming at this other person who's employed by her. And I think that was a horrible experience. It turned out to be terrible, but that's a different story altogether. But I think that was my worst experience in a studio. First of all, seeing a celebrity scream like this itself was, it was wild.
I have seen a few tantrums in my time at the studio. So yeah. I mean, I know it happens. I
Director
know it
never
happens.
showed up. He told me, I kept calling him up. कहाँ हो? हाँ मैं आ रहा हूँ. आप start
See,
करो, मैं आ रहा हूँ. And he never came.
he knew better. He just knew what was going to happen. I think he saw
I
it.
know.
You know. Anyways, uh, when you're directing voices for a commercial, for an ad commercial, how important is it, as you being a director, to have a grip on voice acting, Aditya?
I mean, obviously that is your prime job. But Rahul, voice artists themselves bring something of their own. That is why you called them. That's why you've hired them. An artist by and large, we are taking the name voice artist since this is a voice test. But this is the same thing with actors. And, most of the questions, what you said, when Kaina said the right thing, when you're a junior getting a voice done from a senior is quite intimidating. So the person should have a voice artist should have that thing to make a kid feel comfortable. Otherwise, those are the bad experiences you have, and sometimes you can't just get it. Like for example, I called somebody to do a Salman Khan dub, and the person couldn't do it. But then it's not in my control. If I try 20 times, also maybe it was wrong judgment. It was my wrong judgment. So these things happen, but it's part of life.
True.
Voice talent is there's room for everybody. The best part is due to all these 100 versions you have to give. Even regional artists have a lot of work, which was not prevalent in 90s, 2000s, whatever. So ये बहुत अच्छा हुआ to the industry. It's opened up quite a work.
True. Rajesh,
Yeah.
is it about knowing acting, or is it knowing what the artist can deliver for you? Like, would you know, like how
Yeah.
you said that Sonia had the potential? You showed that film to Sonia and said, "Iska kuch ho sakta hai kya? Kuch, can you repair it? Can you make it
Yeah.
better?" So, is it about knowing the potential, or is it just about knowing acting and saying, "I know what needs to be done, and I'll brief the artist, and let's get this done"?
I think yes. See, it's always an added thing. If you can act and show, sometimes it helps. It also depends on where the trigger is. It's the same thing. What happens with actors? It's no different. I mean, on a set, uh, you can either there are directors who act and show to an actor, or they'll just direct them in a way, give them the right direction, and let them come up with it, and tell them where to turn, where not to. And I think if you find the trigger and do that, sometimes it is much better than you trying to act and asking them to do exactly that. It's the same thing with voice. It's like casting. I mean, you can You can cast somebody from a street who will give a fantastic look, and the same thing. Sometimes you can cast some unique voices and get them to do some fantastic things. Like for instance, Kenaz just mentioned Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai, which is like fantastic. It's Piyush's voice and it's fabulous. I remember, once I had a neighbor. There was Shahrukh's Punjabi father, which had to be played, and I didn't know whose voice it should be. Just a father shouting in the background, and we have a Punjabi neighbor called Sham Ralan. And I said, "आप आके try करेंगे क्या?" And I said, "आप जैसे कभी कभी घर पे चिल्लाते हो, बस वैसे चिल्लाना है आपको." And it turned out fantastic. The once I used, there was a talking dog in a commercial, and I didn't know who to use for that, and then I got Raza Murad, and I made Raza Murad be the voice of the dog. He says bhav bhav and all that stuff, and he came and told me कि भाई हमें तो लोग शेर बनाते हैं, आपने हमको कुत्ता बना दिया. So it's also
Nice,
about casting.
nice line.
So it's about casting there and making them do it. So इस तरह से.
That's fun actually. It's fun voicing for like for animals. कभी कुत्ते की आवाज करो या बिल्ली की आवाज करो. It's fun.
हाँ.
When I was starting out, मुझे पता नहीं था कि इससे it can be part of your portfolio और इस तरह का काम भी मिल सकता है. The day I got to know that somebody got paid to dub for the dog in one of those Salman Khan movies where the dog is barking and it was dubbed by a voice actor. The day I got to know of that, I put dog barks in my showreel and I sent it out again. So मैं भी बात कर सकता हूँ.
और ये वाला कुत्ता तो बात करता था, तो ये बात करने के लिए बोलता था कि भाव भाव.
Oh, that's even easier actually.
Yeah.
So, Kainaz, I wanted to ask you, when you're writing for advertising, if you're writing, say, a commercial that's voice-based, or let's say it's a radio commercial where you just have audio, do you write differently from, say, for television or any visual medium?
Yes, I would, because one thing that you have to remember if you're writing for a radio medium is the fact that there are no visuals to complement what you're saying. So the entire burden of communication, entertainment, and the fact that your message has to come across clearly rests on the writing and the voice that goes with it. So I think that you have to write differently for radio. Of course, sometimes there could be a fantastic narration that can work as it is from you just pluck it out of a TV ad and you put it in a radio medium and it can work beautifully. But not everything will work like that, because in an ad there's a visual, there's a story, then a line comes. But in radio, that's just so it's very difficult to be entertaining and distinct on radio. In fact, I feel that a lot of advertising people do not give as much sort of importance to writing radio as they can, because we have such fabulous voice people amongst us that we can get some absolutely smashing world class stuff out of them. But I guess it's fallen into a kind of trap where the writers are just churning it out and not giving it the talent that it deserves in terms of writing.
Also, this is just my personal observation. Over time, I have found that radio stations, and I don't blame them, I'm just stating a fact or an observation. Radio stations are offering clients like a package. Like we'll write the commercial, we'll voice it, and we'll do everything. You just pay for the airtime and put it on our station, and we'll do the rest. That's it. So there's the quality of writing has gone down, the quality of voicing has gone down. They pretty much pick up anybody from the office to fill in the character voices. Maybe they'll have one permanent voice.
Yeah.
So you can actually feel that when you hear a radio ad, and it's not just me. Like friends of mine would call and say, like, dude, what's going on with the ads on radio? And I was like, that's not me, so I don't know. That's my observation. But on a brighter note, do you think when you're making a radio commercial, does it have to have a little bit more like overacting, a little exaggeration, would you feel, Aditya, as compared to a television commercial?
Maybe because there's no video support, but it doesn't matter. I think it should just be it should be right, you know. And
It should be right, not
yeah,
over
yeah,
exaggerate.
no, no, not required. Personally, that's my opinion. But yes, it is tougher without visual to crack it. So maybe a little over the top, but depends on what you're doing. Some of them are really loud, you know. And locally, if you go to a smaller city and look at the radio spots, they're atrocious. You can't even imagine what happens if you've done
I've
that.
heard some of those. I've heard some of this. It's a different breed of advertising,
Hmm.
I would say.
But
It's
it is
different,
advertising. Everybody
and
is
it
doing the job.
yeah, and it probably works in that sector.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
what do you think are the the do's and don'ts for voice artists who are trying to get into the industry or trying to make a mark? Those who have just started or are wanting to start. What do you think are the do's and don'ts, Rajesh?
But I think training, training the voices, really working at it, seeing, uh, you know, listening to so many of these commercials which are there, trying to, and that's as far as honing their own skill is concerned, they should work at it all the time. That's important. And in the do's, I think if somebody has got a good sense of mimicry, if they can get voices of these stars, these celebrities, they should make they should make little clips of it and share it with the people in the studios. Now you have post supervisors, post production teams. They should definitely share it. There's always everybody's on the lookout. uh, Learn new languages, definitely, because आप if you learn a new language, इसके तो वैसे ही फायदे हैं. अगर काम ना भी मिले तो एक लैंग्वेज तो आ ही जाएगी आपको. तो ये तो है. These are the do's. I think approaching the right people. And I think in don'ts, मतलब before a recording, don't have काला खट्टा का गोला. आपका गला खराब हो जाएगा. बाकी तो I think definitely in the do's, it's more important that you approach the right people and work on your skill. You could,
Sorry, can we all hear Rajesh, or is it just not?
No, I think you were frozen.
You're frozen again.
Are we
Yeah,
back?
you have to take feedback, Rahul. You're a
Okay,
view
are we back?
artist. Yeah, your
Rajesh, sorry,
network is little.
we didn't get the
Rahul,
what you should not do.
yeah. What you should not do. I was just thinking that don't have a kala khatta ka gola before going for a recording. You will spoil your voice.
ठीक है. और recording और approval आने के बाद you can celebrate.
बिल्कुल, वो हम साथ में खा सकते हैं, but take
I
care of
have
your
one,
voice.
one advice for new people. I think that the amount of time people spend on social media, if anyone's trying to break into anything to do with entertainment, please be present on Instagram with your talent. I think that the number of discoveries that happen on Instagram, like recently we were looking for a model for Dove, and we found her on Insta, and a lot of talent is discovered over there. New singers, new artists, and I'm sure that there is a space to showcase your voice talent, and do not discount social media rather than making tapes and all of that. Of course, you should do that, but be present where people are present, because there you have an. I mean, if you're good, people are going to come back to your page.
That's
True. That's great
true, and
advice.
that's probably I mean that's the way of the world now, is to be present on
Yeah.
social so you can showcase your talent or blow your own trumpet, I guess.
Yes.
करना पड़ता है.
And it's a great way for people to discover you.
Absolutely, I would agree, but not to go over the top also with what happened in the TikTok revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just becomes too much. My son tells me don't keep putting up posts all the time, because then it'll just it gets too much. Just don't do it. So I'm very limited with the amount of posts I put on my voice page.
But you don't need to be discovered.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be. I mean, yeah, everybody needs to do it, Kainaz. Is there anything that's completely off-putting for you as an advertising professional? as far as voice artists go.
uh, Arrogance, attitude. One should be humble when an artist, voice artist, director. That is a major put off. When you walk into a studio, voice artist के साथ एक और चीज होती है ना, they'll not
Like,
introduce or
is,
sorry, am I breaking up?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We
sorry,
can
Yeah,
hear you.
yeah,
Rahul is
what,
you
frozen.
can continue.
It's Rahul's. Yeah.
Rahul, you were frozen. If you want our feedback, being a voice artist, you might not take feedback. So, so I'm saying one should be humble. I mean, voice artist का काफियों का ये भी होता है. They have an extra put-on voice sometimes. Hey, you know, phone पे भी बात करो. They should just be normal. Yeah,
कितने बजे
yeah,
आना है?
I'll be there.
ठीक है, मैं
And
पहुंच गया.
timing, yes. कहीं very, very.
Don't be late.
Don't be
be
late. वो client works for both ways, but yeah, don't be late.
And nowadays it'll
Don't
be
be late.
give options.
Rather be early.
That is one thing. एक और option ले लेते हैं.
Option is now for a logo, for a edit, for everything there are options. उसके बिना the mind doesn't work these days for people, I guess. But हाँ Rahul, I think being humble, किसी भी junior को, किसी भी sound engineer को, one should not throw their weight around. That's all. Voice artist will flourish. You also want to call people,
True, I agree. I mean,
it's an interpersonal thing. It's a life lesson. You want to call people who you can relate to, talk to. You don't want baggage. Seriously, बस ये एक little
true.
thing I added.
So be humble and be nice and be kind, and don't be stubborn. Don't throw tantrum.
No, and be firm
Because
at the same time. You have to
everybody
extract your
is
money.
there
You have to.
to do a job, and everybody wants.
Hmm.
Sorry,
No, and be firm because payments and all these
did you
days,
say that?
I'm, I'm saying there should be something to protect view artists also. It works both ways. Payments not coming in, this, that. They should be firm at the same time. Because I've seen that's also major thing of people defaulting, not paying. There's no contract. That is one thing really needs to be worked upon.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the Voice Artists Association is doing a lot of work in that direction, and if at all there are issues, they are there. So that's being looked into as we speak. Is there something that you would like to see with voice artists that hasn't happened yet? Like, ऐसा क्यों नहीं होता है? Why can't they be like this? Is there something like that in your mind? Any of you?
I think the ones who are doing well are doing great. I mean, they're doing a great job. मुझे लगता है कि वो वहाँ हैं इस वजह से क्योंकि उनका एक्सपीरियंस है और बहुत अच्छे से कर पाते हैं. मुझे लगता है ऐसे तो लगा नहीं मुझे कि कुछ ऐसी चीज है जो हम नहीं अचीव कर पा रहे हैं. I think we are doing okay. Some great talent and good work coming out of it. So
That's good to hear. Thank you.
No,
Is there
I have
anything else you guys want to add? Yeah, please go ahead. Please go
I
ahead.
have a suggestion. Kainaz, you want to go first?
No, please go.
No, I'm just. It is a bizarre. It's not something. Don't take me wrong, Rahul. But by and large, female view artists somehow, I don't know how this works, but diction in English comes naturally. A good diction and speaking well comes naturally to them. Most of the male artists, even English view artists, sometimes I am no Shakespeare myself, or I can, but there should be people should work upon their English a little bit. Hindi still people manage very well, but English diction, I don't know what English it's British or just spoken correct English to the Indian air probably, but one should work upon that factor because a lot of view artists, being English view artists, cannot deliver complete flawless recording sometimes. That's all I would say.
Well, I think that applies across languages. If you are a you know, Hindi voice artist, your Hindi should be good. If you're doing English and Hindi, both languages need to be good. Language is primary. अगर आपकी भाषा ही अच्छी नहीं है तो कैसे करेंगे आप? कैसे पढ़ेंगे? कैसे बात करेंगे? It's not going to be possible. So study of the language is totally important. Pronunciation, the diction, how the language is to be spoken, what is
Absolutely.
the rhythm of the language. You can't have a Hindi rhythm in English, and you can't have an English rhythm in Hindi.
Absolutely.
No? So all of those things need to come into play. So that is an understanding of the language for anybody
Language,
who.
and generally you have to absorb a lot. You have to read, you have to listen to stuff. Things are changing, for VO artists also. Now if you think about it, if you last few years it was always there, but there's a lot of Bollywood guys doing VOs also now. You hear a Harsh Chaya or a Tinu Anand, so there's a reason they're doing it. Maybe they can, narration has become different also over the years. It's not over the top, you have to go mellow, you have to go real.
Yeah.
Demands have changed, so one has to update whichever field, whatever line. You have to be updated. That's all.
Yeah. Basically, you have to stay updated with
Yeah, you have to
with,
upskill yourself.
with the sound, or with how it is to be spoken. It's a lot less dramatic these days, I would say.
Absolutely.
What do you feel, Kainas?
Definitely, I think that, or not on radio, because like you said, radio is still quite over the top. But if you see television and other, especially digital medium, people pay a lot of attention to being authentic and trying to be as close to life as possible, rather than being the exaggerated theatrical self that was the norm, maybe some time back. But I think, and to be distinct within real is not easy, because if I have to scream and say something, and like, let's say if I have to scream at a child and make my point that I'm angry, it is very easy to do. But if I have to talk softly to my kid and tell them that what you did is wrong, etc., and still come across and make my point, it is harder to do. So similarly, I think that being authentic is the requirement of the day. And those who manage to do that really well will do well.
True. That's a fantastic point. To be more natural, exaggerated, over the top kind of acting is passe. It was there in 60s and 70s, and if you watch dramas from back then, it was a totally different delivery style. Even, for example, even this is what I tell new artists. I said, observe newsreaders back from the black and white era. It's a totally different way of reading the news. And if you take a news reader today, a news reader, not a news presenter, if you know what I mean. So, a news reader today, it's totally different. The news is delivered more personal. It's calm. It's personal. It's more real. It's not put on, and it's more relatable, is what I feel. So even voicing should move that way, or has moved that way. So if you're getting into voicing, be more natural.
Yeah, I think it's also about being able to engage. How do you engage with your viewer? How you can attract them towards you. I remember like this commercial with Irfan, Kabutar Mehenga Pad Jayega. If you remember that, I mean, look at Irfan, the way he would deliver his dialogue. It just changed the entire rhythm of speech. It's unpredictable. You can't catch it, where he's going to take a pause, where he's going to take a turn.
Absolutely.
How it happened naturally.
What an
Incredible.
incredible actor. And when you mention Irfan, so many incidents came to mind, especially where you get a call from a production assistant and saying, "आप इरफान की आवाज करते हो क्या?" So I used to just say no, नहीं. But कर सकते हैं ना. I said कर सकता हूँ, लेकिन मैं अगर करूँगा तो आपको अच्छी नहीं लगेगी. Because you have a picture of me in your head as an advertising voice, this, that. You will say it's sounding flat. But when Irfan does it, it sounds perfect. So please get him. God rest his soul. But when he was around, I used to always say, please call him. Please. Don't call anybody else if you want Irfan, because only he can deliver that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So he was a very, very special actor.
Oh, yeah. What a
Absolutely.
loss. Absolutely.
Gifted.
I've
Is,
had Sunil
is
Grover.
there anything else?
I've had
Yes.
Sunil Grover do a brilliant
Yeah,
Irfan
go
once.
ahead.
I just want to say that.
I have to tell you guys
Yeah,
one
he does.
incident
Yeah.
before we end this.
Please.
So this has got nothing to do with the questions, but I want to tell you that I have earned 10,000 rupees as a voice artist.
Very
So when
lovely.
Oh,
I was a junior kid, I had once gone to present one radio spot to a client, and it was a government client. And I presented the radio spot, and the client liked it, and he said, "Aap jao record karo." So then I recorded it, and he bombed it. And then I recorded it again, and he bombed it.
Hmm.
Then I said, "Sir, आपको क्या चाहिए?" So he said, "आप करो, आप जैसे present कर रहे थे, मुझे अच्छा लगा." So I said, "I'm not a voice artist." And he was like, "No, that is okay. आप जाके आप करो. So then I didn't know what to do because I just couldn't do it. And I was very junior. I didn't know what to say. So I said that मैं 10,000 रुपए लूंगी to the client. And the servicing person is looking at me like, what? So the client said, okay, we will give it to you. So I went and I recorded. It was very bad. I don't have a copy, otherwise I would have played it to you just for laughs. But promptly came the 10,000 bucks.
Lovely.
Wow.
how nice.
So, so
I
that's a
didn't know
prime
someone
example
was
of
writing. It was just me and my art partner there, Harshad, who you know, Rahul. So he was
yeah, yeah.
directing me, and I don't know what hodgepodge the two of us did, but we spent the 10,000 and had fun.
But that's a prime
It's
example of
good.
when the client wants a certain kind of quirk in the voice. Uh, it is what they want, and that's what should be delivered.
Absolutely.
So that's what
Totally.
they were looking for, I guess. I
I
guess.
don't know what they were looking for, but it worked for
Whatever,
me.
you had fun. You had 10 grand night on the
I know
town.
back then,
Had some. Then back
early
then you
2000s.
could have lived at Starbucks for a week.
I know.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with the voice industry? Because our audience is members of the voice industry. We also have lots of people aspiring to be voice artists, जिनको ये इंडस्ट्री में आना है, एड वॉइस बनना है, उनके लिए कुछ विशेष टिप्पणी or how they can get into the industry. Rajesh?
So as we said earlier, I mean, Ken has put a nice point across that using Instagram and social media is a good thing, but that can also be a blur sometimes. But it is a great place to be discovered. Also, getting in touch with all these post production studios, leaving your numbers behind in recording studios. You never know uh, who might need it, and then sending your voice samples. Just today, you can WhatsApp it. You can even the iPhone ka mic or the normal phone mics are so good. You can just record it on a phone and send your voice samples if you want to, and really let people know that you're there. That's the most important thing. Advertising में advertising करनी पड़ेगी आपको. अपने आप की एडवर्टाइजिंग करनी जरूरी है और लोगों के पास अपनी चीजें भेजना जरूरी है to the right people, that is.
Yeah, it's
So I think,
become
and
so
definitely on your skills, language, all the things actually we spoke in this forum today.
exactly.
If you
Yes.
sum it up, it is all these things that we spoke about, language skills जो आपने कहा, अलग अलग languages की अलग skill है. तो इस तरह से मुझे लगता है कि आपको सारी चीजें अगर आप उसको sum up करें तो बहुत कुछ मिल जाएगा लोगों को करने के लिए.
No, one very old school advice I have, and it's for everyone. New people who are getting into any. I think you have to be there for the right reason. You want to be a voice artist. I think it's a fantastic thing. But do you want to be a voice artist, or is it like that? Are you getting into it because you think it's easy, or you think it's fast money, or you want to do work for less hours in a day, or something like that? Those are wrong reasons. And when you get into anything for a wrong reason, and you're looking for quick success, you often face roadblocks and failure. But if you get into it for the right reason, then you will do everything correctly. You will work hard on your skills, you will hone your pronunciations, you will go and meet the right people, you will do whatever it takes, work really really hard to make sure that your talent is seen by people and seen by the right people. So I think it's very important, and this is my thing to youngsters who are trying to get into everything, including content writing or wherever it is. Don't get into it for the glamour of it. Get into it for the craft of it. When you're there for the craft and the art, the glamour, the money, everything will follow. So it's like nowadays I've often seen young people want it the other way around. They want the success before the hard work. So I think that even in the voice industry, they should not expect, if they get small parts or if they get anything, do it so well that you're called again next time for a bigger part. So I think being there for the right reason, and when you're there because you really want to do that particular thing as a vocation, then your dedication, craft level, everything will be different. So I think that's like, it's an old school advice, but yeah.
No, I think that is absolutely spot
Yeah.
on what you said. It's just perfect. There's so many incidents related to that, and we just don't have the time. Maybe over a coffee we can discuss that. But
Yes.
what you said is absolutely, absolutely perfect to the point. Like, don't get into it because you think that it's easy money or it's good money, but you have to work really hard. It's like watching a batsman on the field hitting every ball to the boundary, but the amount of hard work that boy has put in to reach that stage, you have not seen that. You haven't seen him toil in the morning at 6, run
Exactly.
on the ground, do push-ups, do this, do catch practice, do stretches, all of that, eating, diet. There's multiple things to bring that person to the pitch and be able to hit every ball to the boundary. So it's pretty much the same in any field, I would say,
Yeah.
and
Any field.
more so related to this because people think that it's very very easy for us to just get in and boss voice dena kar denge. And there we have the
Hi.
stars. That's fun.
Hi everyone.
कैसी आपकी
Right.
आवाज कैसी है?
Uh,
That
sorry,
one has
just
a
one
sore
moment.
throat, so
Take it out, please.
uh,
Kainaz, Rajesh, Aditya, and Rahul. Thank you so much for doing this, guys.
Pleasure.
Sorry, I am
thank you
not
for having.
in the best of my voice right now. I have almost lost my voice, so forgive me for that. But Kainaz, आपने बहुत प्यारे तरीके से sum up किया towards the end that do this for the right reason. It's been almost 25 years now that I've been a voice actor, and every morning I wake up with the same sense of excitement of facing the microphone that I had on day one. And there's nothing else I want to be besides being a voiceover artist. So, that's the level of passion that I guess Rahul, me, and all of us have. And Rahul ने end में जो बात बोली कि don't look for overnight success. So that reminds me about incidents that many of us have faced when we are in a studio to record a line. It could be a tagline or a brand line, and the client is surprised कि यार 1 मिनट में तो आप बोल के आ गए, इसके आप इतने पैसे ले रहे हो. तो we usually tell them कि ये जो 20 साल से हम सीख रहे हैं इसको 1 मिनट में बोलने के लिए, ये उसके पैसे हैं.
Exactly.
So
I tell the client the same thing. I'm like, I could sit around and drink coffee for an hour if you want, and then do your voiceover. I don't have an issue. No problem. We'll wait 59 minutes and then I'll go in just before your hour ends, finish your job, and then is it okay if I leave?
absolutely.
I
And
There are no shortcuts.
Kainaz, you said something very nice कि इस क्राफ्ट को recognition मिलना चाहिए बहुत, और कहीं ना कहीं आई थिंक इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट जैसे मंच यही करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. वो हैवल्स का जो एड था राजेश खन्ना साहब का कि उसका जो टैगलाइन था हवा बदलेगी. सो मैं इसी फिराक में हूँ, इसी इंतजार में हूँ कि आज नहीं तो कल इस तरह के आयोजनों के जरिए धीरे धीरे हवा बदले. एंड I think this year has been a breakthrough year क्योंकि not just stalwart voice talents. This time we managed to get some of the best business minds, programming, creative minds also. I mean, right now on this panel we have acclaimed film directors, and you have Kainaz, one of the finest creative minds. And Kainaz, at Sugar we've been very lucky. We've got to produce some
Yes.
radio work written by you many years back.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
And
of course. And just to tell you guys that some days back we had very senior reps from Netflix on panels, which was a breakthrough to have content owners coming on board. We had the South Asia head of Warner Media in a session. तो मुझे लगता है कि जैसे जैसे content owners और business managers or programming managers, creative heads आएंगे तो इसका स्कोप इस तरह के इवेंट का बढ़ता जाएगा. एंड कैनाज, आई वांट टू मेक अ रिक्वेस्ट कि यू आर इन अ पोजीशन ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस, तो आप क्यों नहीं रिक्वेस्ट करते एडवर्टाइजिंग अवार्ड्स वालों को कि सिर्फ एक वॉइस ऑफ द ईयर नहीं रखें, एक डेडिकेटेड सेक्शन रखें वॉइस ओवर आर्टिस्ट्स के लिए. हमारे इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट में वी हैव 50 अवार्ड्स, बाय द वे, 50. Saturday we have the awards presentation. We had more than 500 entries. So you can imagine, and we are nobody. We are literally nobody. And हमको ज़्यादा लोग जानते नहीं हैं. But अभी गोवा फेस्ट में या एबीज में in voice over.
That's what I meant. There should be recognition there.
आप कोशिश करिए.
Definitely. I will.
थोड़ी सी आप कोशिश कीजिए, थोड़ा सा हम इस बात को आगे बढ़ाएंगे.
Rahul is getting how many awards out of 50?
I'll tell you what, Aditya, मेरा बस चलता तो शायद सारे राहुल को मिल जाते. क्योंकि I don't know if you know, but he also does great female voice. So, but in awards में मेरा बस चलता नहीं है. कहने को मैं ऑर्गेनाइजर हूँ, पर ये awards मेरे दायरे से बहुत बाहर हैं. We had a jury of 20 people who have done the judging. So yeah. Rajesh, thank you. Rajesh has been very sweet. In fact, Rajesh, Aditya, also एक phone call. आदित्य को तो फोन भी नहीं करना पड़ा मुझे. और राहुल introduced me to आदित्य, और फिर पता चला हम तो एक दूसरे को पहले से जानते हैं. तो and Kainaz, thank you for making time from your very busy schedule. And
my pleasure.
It has been. It really means a lot when such big names. When I say names, मेरा मतलब आपके ओहदे से बिल्कुल नहीं है कैनाज, क्योंकि चीफ क्रिएटिव ऑफिसर तो आप अब बनी हैं. हम आपको तब से जानते हैं जब आप एक कॉपीराइटर थी.
10,000 रुपए.
हाँ बिल्कुल. और राजेश,
copywriter and moonlighting voiceover.
Exactly. And Rajesh and Aditya, not because you guys have a title with you, but क्योंकि आप लोगों ने बहुत लंबे संघर्ष के बाद एक बहुत बड़ा मुकाम हासिल किया है, and you have great respect for the craft of voice acting, and that's why it's an honor to have you guys here. So
thank you.
I
You're
hope
doing a
some other
great job. I
time.
think this is a great forum.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
so
having us.
much.
Thank you very much.
All voice artists, they are lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.